Good morning, Dual Coast fans. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Dual Coast Podcast. I'm your host, Dan Skoga, with my West Coast co-host, Russ Rogers, joined by a very special guest in the middle this morning, Arjun Dhingra. Arjun, thank you so much for being here this morning.
My pleasure, fellas. Good to be with you guys. Thank you.
Arjun, thank you, man. This is awesome having you on Dual Coast this morning. Are you an early riser?
I am, yeah. I'm generally at the gym right about now, so this is perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. Take us through a morning workout.
Yeah, dude.
You know what I do? So I'll get up. I know there's a lot of people into fancy morning routines, cold plunging and things by the minute. Mine's nothing fancy. It's get up, drink a big glass of water. I'll scan the news and check my email and just see kind of what goes on, what's happened in the world since I was asleep. Over a coffee, of course, got to do that. And then I'm at the gym for probably an hour. Which is either a taekwondo workout of some kind, hitting the boxing bag, kettlebells, or just weights. So I try and mix it up, but that's what a morning routine looks like. And then I'm on my way to the city here in San Francisco, and the rest of the day is out of my hands.
We would like to say it's under our control, but not really.
It's not. No way. Not at all.
That's awesome, man. Give us a little family history of yourself, where you grew up. Give us a little family history of your family, and a little background.
My parents immigrated here to the United States from India, and both got into. Well, my dad got into public administration, and he landed a job at the University of Fairbanks. And I think they in Fairbanks, Alaska, which is on no one's bingo card here today. That's where I was born. But I was born in Fairbanks. So they were there for about 6 years. Myself and my brother were born there. And then he relocated or got a job at the University of Nevada, Reno. And so we moved to Reno. My sister was born there a few years later. And we grew up there. Went to high school, college there, especially with him working at the university. It was a great experience. And I moved out to the Bay Area about 20 years ago. Where I since now live here in Sausalito, but I work in San Francisco. Married now with 2 daughters, 7 and 3. She just turned 3. And I got into my career while living in Reno in a frat house, which is a great story, in Reno at the University of Nevada, Reno. In about 2001, I fell into the mortgage business the way so many people did at that time, and still do, for to be honest. No one goes looking for the mortgage industry. It just kind of finds you. And that tells you the entire state of the industry. For a guy who's 21, 22 years old to be working in the industry while living in a fraternity house, that tells you how strenuous and strict the licensing requirements were at the time. And also maybe what led to the housing crash as well. But I enjoyed it. I started helping a company out of Vegas. And then shortly thereafter, I moved to San Francisco because I wanted to get to the city after I graduated college, and personal growth for me had kind of ceased where I was at, and I wanted to be in a bigger environment. And San Francisco was only 3 hours away. So moved here and opened up an office for us at that time. And the rest has kind of been history. Rode it out through the market crash of 2008, which was a very, very interesting time. Stayed in the industry because really there was nothing else to do. And I just kind of kept treading water. But I thought and realized for a long time that housing's not going to go away. This has got to come back in some way, shape, or form. Human beings need shelter. It's never going away. So let's just kind of see what happens. And then eventually, through the regulatory environment and all the compensation reform and everything else going on, the industry became a good one to still and continue to work in. So I've stayed in it, but I've gotten involved and do so many different things through events and through media. That's how I got to meet you, Russ, and it's made the world a lot bigger, and now I'm really enjoying it.
That's amazing. Awesome. I think you got to go a book route. How I started my life from Fairbanks to Reno. Yeah. Dude, how many people can say that?
I'm more concerned with Russ saying how many people would buy that. I don't know. I don't know how many book sales we do, but
marketing standpoint.
I might sell 2. I got 2 here, but that's it.
we each buy one, and your wife.
Yeah. All good. Yeah, she might support me. I don't know.
Yeah. So you talked about working out you get in the gym and everything, and you've got a history, 2-time world champion in Taekwondo, and co-coach USA team. So at what age, what really got you going in Taekwondo and to get to that level? Like, I mean, to be a world champion, not once, but twice, like that took, commitment. It took effort. And what really inspired you to get you, going in that direction?
I got, it's a classic case of, I was an immigrant kid at a school where there wasn't any diversity at all. Like, we were definitely the only Indians at our elementary school. And it's in redneck Reno at the time here in the 80s. And not that we endured anything bad. I got to say, like, I've endured probably more, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, either difficulty, challenges, generalism. I would never use the word racism, but just like people kind of assuming things. I've endured way more of that in California than I ever did in Reno, and which is ironic and interesting given the climate that we're in. But the going to school, my parents, because they went to school in very strict environments, they would send me to school really like overdressed, like V-neck sweaters and slacks and dress shirts, which is not a good look when you're in the first grade, especially in like, when it's hot, like in the fall, like, September, October. And so all I wanted to do was like fit in, and kids were playing soccer, kids were playing football. And so I made some friends, and, I wanted to play, a lot of sports during recesses and things, but I got bullied a lot. And one guy in particular was bullying me. And at the time, the original Karate Kid came out, and I watched it and I was obsessed with it. I started begging my mom, put me in a karate class, please. I'm tired of getting bullied. And I just wanted something to kind of fight back with. So that was my motivation for doing it. So she, at the time, she didn't know any martial art, she didn't know Taekwondo from karate, from jiu-jitsu, nothing. She just looked up the Yellow Pages. Remember that? Remember those guys? Dan, you may not, man.
Pages.
You're kind of a young guy. I don't know, but
I was.
Oh my goodness, the Yellow Pages.
Yellow Pages.
Before Google, yeah, it was the Yellow Pages. So she just looked up the Yellow Pages and found a class at the YMCA, dropped me off, and that's kind of where I got started. And I got my black belt when I was 11. Ironically, a week after my black belt test, that same particular bully on the last day of school, I'll never forget it, 5th grade, he followed me on his bike when I was walking to a buddy's house, and he was just taunting me. And then I didn't start it, but my friend who I was walking with to go to his house, he just said, "You know what, Arjun's just going to kick your ass right here, man." And I said, "I am." I didn't want to fight. You come up in martial arts, you're actually taught to not fight.
Yeah.
Taekwondo is like an art of peace. It's a Korean art of peace. Like, it's actually to promote peace, well-being, and better human beings, better humanity. So I was taught, like, your instructors are really hard on you. If they ever find out that you used it in a way that's inappropriate or to hurt somebody or whatever, like, you could lose your black belt. They could kick you out of the school. So I was always afraid of that. So I looked at my buddy. I'm like, "Dude, are you going to do this to me right now?" He goes, "Yeah, you're going to kick his ass, man. That's it, right here. And we were on the bully's lawn. We were right in front of his house. So, long story short, I beat his ass, and that's it. He ran into his house.
In peace, you did.
In peace, yeah. I did this afterwards.
Honestly,
I mean, back in the day, back in the 80s here, 5th grade, like, whatever you want to define beating someone's butt, a few punches to the head, a headlock, kick to the ribs, and the rest, and that was it. But I stuck with Taekwondo all through, even though I did other sports through high school, college. And then I'd take some breaks for different things, especially during football, because that's a pretty involved sport in high school. But shortly thereafter, like in 2007, they had opened up, because at that time I was a 5th degree black belt, and they'd opened up a special category because around the world, more 5th degrees were hitting that level of rank at a younger age, which meant they were still in some form of athletic prime. Normally what they did was they cut competition off at the 4th degree level, because they figured most people that hit the 5th degree rank were much, much older. So, no one wanted to watch a bunch of geriatrics out there hurting themselves. So they said, "You know what, we're going to actually open it up like a special division now, fine for 5th." And I thought, you know what, how cool would it be to get to represent my country in sport? It's something you always kind of dream of as a kid, especially when you watch the Olympics, you watch this World Cup. So I went out for the national qualifier, trained really hard. I made the team, and it was in Birmingham, England. And I just put together a team of staff around me right as the market was crashing. Like the market crash here in the US was happening right around the same time. But I just immersed myself in that rather than just get into this deep, dark depression over the fact that the economy's tanking and my career is literally, eviscerating in front of me. And it was an amazing experience. And I won the gold medal in Birmingham, England. And I didn't credit it to any beginner's luck. I credited it to having the right people around me. I really put together like a dream team of trainers and even a bit of mental strengthening as well. Mm-hmm. And then I went out for it one more time in 2012. I thought, you know what? To do something once is great. If you do it twice, it's extraordinary, right? Like nobody can ever say, you had a good run, you got a lucky run, you made it through. If you do it twice, you're like, this is a state of permanence. Like I belong. That's the way I saw it. So I did it in 2012 and it didn't work out. I lost in the first round. I had the same team. I trained just as hard. I didn't take anything for granted. If anything, I trained harder. And so it wasn't for any lack of preparation. And I was at peace with the loss, but it really, didn't sit well with me. And the reason I was at peace with the loss was because I'd put in everything to it. I always have this expression, which I then carried forward as a coach for the national team, and saying like, in the moments leading up to whatever big moment you're about to go into, if you can just look yourself and ask, have I done everything? Because the last thing you want to do when you're on a flight over the pond, and those world championships in 2012 were in Canada, so it wasn't as long of a flight, but to say the last thing you ever want to do while you're on that flight, kind of thinking about things, have I done everything, is to have doubts like, oh, I should have done more. I could have done more. If you have that feeling, that's not good. And it's just, then you've left something, you've left something back there and you've shortchanged yourself in a great opportunity. But I didn't have that feeling at all. I knew when I was at peace, even going there, I said, I've literally done everything I could. Wouldn't change anything about our training camp, our preparation, the people that I had around me. I did have a lot more life happening at that time. But for whatever reason, it didn't work out. It was a very close call. It was a 3-2 decision. Could have gone the other way also. But that loss ended up being the best thing that happened to me, because I said, look, you've won one, you've lost one. There's only one way to break this tie and see, because I can either prove everyone right that, he got lucky the first time, or I can prove myself right that, no, this was a bad decision and I'm going to use it as fuel. So I went even harder after it in 2014. And they announced that those world championships were going to be in Rome, Italy. Rome was a very special place to me because years and years prior to that, I had lost my best friend to suicide. And we were in Rome during one of our last years in college because he was studying abroad in Italy. And we were in front of the Colosseum. And mind you, at that time, it was 2001. And the Gladiator movie came out in 2000, which made the Colosseum so famous. It still does, right? Like, that's one of the greatest movies. Not the sequel.
Yeah. Are you not entertained?
Yeah, not the sequel. They really blew it with the sequel coming out 30 years later or whatever it was. But, we were sitting out in front of it. And we were broke college students. I mean, we slept on trains and in hostels, but it was the time of our lives going all across Italy. But we sat there kind of across the way, sitting on this rock, looking at it. And we said, one day we're going to come back here when we got money and maybe we're married and with our kids, we'll come back. And it never happened, obviously, because I lost them to suicide. So when they announced these world championships, I thought, you know what, this is kind of like this full circle moment. I can go back. I keep this promise that we were always going to go back. I kind of felt like he'd be with me as well. And that was only the beginning of how many magical moments that made me feel like this was really fate leading up to it. We had the same team of trainers and group back together again. I added a kind of resilience and performance coach who you've met, Russell. His name's Kai McBride.
Yes.
He's kind of in our network here of Jared, and he's been with me. He's kind of a Mr. Miyagi, if you will. And I'm not saying that because he's Asian. Not at all, but because he's very cerebral, and he got me thinking about a lot of different things. And I've used him in business, and he's helped me out in life. And he was the only addition I had to the team. And a lot of people think that sometimes when something doesn't go right, you got to throw everything out and start over. No, sometimes it's just small tweaks.
Sure.
Sometimes you just need to add, not subtract. And so I didn't have any negative people in my life. Things were really focused. I was in a good place, had a great run up to it, but everything worked out magically. And just to land the plane here, we won. And there's a photo I have that somebody captured right as my hand was raised in the final match, where I just pointed up at the sky and I thanked my buddy for staying with me. And then what's crazy, and this is how you know it was fate, they do the opening ceremonies at these world championships after day one. They don't do it before the event starts. They get the event started because there's so much chaos and they need to get going and make some progress. Otherwise, they fall behind schedule. And it's about a 6-7 day event. So they do the opening ceremonies to kind of close out day one. Well, the opening ceremonies, the music and the theatrics and the dancers was all to the Gladiator soundtrack. Wow. So it was like this. I sat in the stands. I'd already won. The medal ceremony wasn't for a few days. But I sat in the stands kind of by myself and I just started crying because it was just like, I said, this whole thing was like magic. He was really with me.
Yeah. Wow.
That was incredible. Time. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful moment. Yeah. So, I mean, that's where I retired at that point. Right. And then I just went into full-time coaching and someone's like, oh, you should keep going. I'm like, I would. And, I physically feel like I can. I could maybe do one more. The truth is, though, nothing's going to top this. Like the way this ended.
Yeah.
Like I'll never match this. There's literally nothing. And I'm being humble when I say it. Because, who am I to say that, something or some event can't serve me. And I'm just a small, insignificant person. But I just knew the feeling and the magic around this and how it all came together. There was nothing that would ever top it. So anyways, I didn't mean to take up most of your show about telling you the story.
No, it's beautiful.
Story.
Yeah.
No, there was a lot of depth in there, right, Dan?
Yeah, for sure.
A lot. I mean, I love that. That was so good.
Powerful. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome, man. I would imagine there's something you just touched on right there, and I was going to ask you this question is, I would imagine there's a lot of crossover between Taekwondo and business, between the fundamentals, the discipline, what you learn, how you harness it. And you just mentioned like your coach kind of, brought that into life also. He's almost like a life coach to you simultaneously. You agree with that, Arjun?
100%, man. I think the parallels between sport and business, which is why people love sports, right? They love documentaries. There's so many parallels, and it's oftentimes, not all the time, why a lot of people who are successful in sport can cross that over into business, and they end up having good careers because of structure, commitment, discipline, a lot of resilience. I mean, business is hard. It's really hard. A lot of people think that a lot of things get easier and speed up with AI and all the technology that's kind of entered into our world and entered into our processes, which is true to an extent, but it will never remove the fact and the statement that business is really, really challenging. And it's not for the faint of heart. Entrepreneurship in particular, it'll test you at every corner the same way that sports will. It'll weed out the weak the same way sports will, right? It'll reward you sometimes in ways that aren't very public or loud. There'll be small victories the same way sports do. It'll break your heart same way sports do. So yes, lots and lots of parallels between it, Dan. You hit the nail on the head. I draw on a lot of the same things, but also I think what sports do, whether you compete, and it doesn't have to be that you compete at this high level, representing your country, but any sport, is there's a certain belief that it establishes in yourself at a certain point. And if you can keep that and harness it, because you need it, right? You guys know, like, as I've said here ad nauseum, business is hard and you're going to need to kind of tap back into something to carry you through and push you through. And a lot of that comes from sports, coaches pushing you, double days in football, whatever it is, you're puking through your helmet, in the heat of the sun, but you got to just keep going, whatever it is, or, in the actual gym, hitting the bag, sparring partners, going through conditioning, whatever it might be, like you have to push through. So the perseverance and the indomitable spirit definitely cross over into business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just recently heard this statement in the middle of the World Cup that maybe USA didn't deserve hosting the World Cup, but USA needed the World Cup.
Yeah.
What do you think about that statement?
I mean, without a doubt, it did. There was a lot of people politically that were saying, the U.S. doesn't deserve to host it. I disagreed with that. I think the U.S. actually has proven that they should probably host more World Cups. The infrastructure is here for it. Everything is set up for this country being talked about in the way that it does, sometimes quite negatively, which I take major issue with, that this is a terrible place, whatever. I think much of the world came here and found the opposite. You saw people posting about how amazing this place was, how great of a time they had. It was a beautiful, beautiful. The World Cup is probably one of my most favorite things that happens. It's depressing now for days, after it's done. and And I was rooting for Messi. I wanted to see him win one more.
Yeah, me too.
And it was really hard watching the guy cry because you could see how much it meant to him. Not because, he lost, but because it's over. There's a sense of finality that comes with these things. Guys like him, Ronaldo, even Neymar, these legends that we all grew up with that are now done, and it's like that was our childhood of watching soccer. But to answer your question there, Russ, or bring it back full circle, the U.S. absolutely needed it, as much as people try and deny it, that this was a very, very positive impact. It was a positive impact of culture and patriotism and all of that being really infused. It wasn't anything that was just like kind of developed. It was infused like literally overnight, because you would have thousands, tens of thousands of people from a country that you didn't even know existed showing up in your town with their flags, being happy and welcoming and so gracious that you're letting them in, and they're celebrating with you, and they're taking over the streets, and they're taking over your bars and restaurants and waving their flag. I think it was a real wake-up moment for a lot of Americans, particularly in these different markets, to see that, like, this place is great, and other people seem to think so too. And it is great. Is it an imperfect country? Sure. Last I checked, so is every other country.
Yeah.
It's pretty imperfect. But this place is something that's at least a beautiful place where imperfect people can do things about it. Yeah. Imperfect people can step up and do things. They can start podcasts. They can take their message to the airwaves. They can create content on their phones and take a message to other people, and they can celebrate with others, and they can protest. They can be mad. They can, they can do things that in other countries will get you jailed or even killed. You got the freedom to do it here. That to me is a pretty damn good country. And so I'm glad the US hosted it. They absolutely, in my opinion, should have hosted it. They should host more, because I think we just proved that, like, you can do it and do it on a really high level, and they've set a really high bar now. Yes. And we needed this, Russ, to answer bring it back again. I think this country really needed it, and it was a great experience. I'm going to miss it, but it's something I won't forget.
Well, hopefully at some point, and if you haven't done it already, you'll do it in the near future. Just to remind you of the World Cup is the Norway row.
Yeah.
Right. You got to incorporate that somewhere in life, right?
You don't forget these things, right? Like, it happened. Like, it was a really cool thing. You're seeing all these fans or people of the descent and doing it on TV, and it's just, you just see how, again, sport brings people together. It's such a great way. There's literally nothing like it. There's nothing like that event.
Yeah,
no.
I felt like it was elevated. What'd you say?
They were in the middle of New York City doing the Viking row.
It's so cool. Yeah, in Times Square. I saw that.
How cool is that?
So
really cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was great, man. That was great. I feel like it's funny too, because what you said, because everybody, I feel like, came with this certain stigma when they first came here from other countries, and they're like, this is not what we were told. Like, it's so funny. Like, this is amazing. Like, this is a great time. You see people like taking ranch with them and like different dresses like that, back to their countries.
Suitcases.
I was cracking up for stuff they were packing. They're like, oh, we had a great time in America. They got this, they got that. We didn't expect this. And it's so true, because I feel like they came here with this like negative connotation. And it just shows you what the media portrays, not to get political on this podcast.
No, man, you can anytime.
What the media portrays over there, with whatever country they were where they're coming from, and now they're here and they're like, this was great, this was an amazing time. And I feel like that brought the unity together, even between the Americans and every other country that was here, and it just formed this cohesive mesh during the whole World Cup.
Yeah, it really did. It really did. Yeah, the whole thing was just a beautiful experience, man. Yeah, it's nice to see.
Oh, totally agree, man.
Yeah, we got to wait 4 long years for the next one. Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of evaluating between Qatar and USA, and on different levels. It's like, holy cow!
Yeah,
like,
levels, absolutely
awesome.
Yeah. Well, I was back in November. I had made the decision that I was going to go to Jared Sebesta's event, and I made that decision based on a couple of different things. And one was supporting my buddy Jared, but number 2 was to meet you. And I went there that in with my goal and being very intent. I knew there was going to be a number of people and everything. And so you and I connected at dinner that night after the event, and it was absolutely a powerful moment for myself. I just want you to know, like, in the short time that I've known you, which is now what, about 8 to 9 months. We've talked a number of times. I came to your event in the city.
Yeah, you did.
And it was just, I am learning to understand and to know who you are on a very minuscule basis. But I just want you to know that I really appreciate who you are as a person. I really appreciate the intent that you have in going forward in life, the intent that you have of, as Dan says, putting yourself in the room, meeting people, connecting with people, and you're a connector of people. And I love that about you. And so I just want to say as a compliment to you that my goal back in November of meeting you has far surpassed what I had in my mind of what I wanted to accomplish, and I'm really hoping that the levels of growth that happen in our relationship continues to go forward, and this is just another one of those moments. And I knew that I wanted to have you on our podcast, so thank you for coming on. But I just want to say a compliment to you, man. Thank you for all that you're doing. I stay in contact with you as far as like following your posts and what you're doing and what you're saying, and the most important is the impact that you're making. So I just want to say a shout out to you, Arjun.
Thanks, Russell. I really appreciate it, bro. Right back at you, man. It's been a privilege getting to know you, and it's only just beginning. And Dan, I look forward to getting to know you two more, especially considering I come up your way quite a bit now.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll definitely make sure we stay connected. But yeah, Russ, thank you, man, for the kind words.
Absolutely.
100%. It's awesome. Put yourself in the room, baby.
That's it. What it's all about. No, you're only one room away, I say, to people.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. One room away. It's true. Arjun, speaking of that, actually, Arjun, you post a ton on Instagram. You have great content, and you have a personal brand that you developed out of that. How important would you say personal branding is in the business world? And can somebody be great at what they do, but still get left behind because nobody knows who they are?
That's exactly right. You could be the best at what you do, but if no one knows who you are, your opportunity starts to diminish, especially in this world that we're in now. I've got this quotient that I use, which is value times visibility, not plus. The reason why it's times is because if you have a zero on any side of that quotient, you've got a zero in business, right? Mm-hmm. These two things equal your opportunity quotient, right? So if you are highly visible and remotely valuable at what you do, you'll get plenty of opportunity. Same if it's the other way. But you could be the absolute best at what you do, Dan, like you said. But if nobody knows who you are, you've got a zero in terms of opportunity. Best known beats best 10 out of 10 times. I use this story all the time, and it's for it might be a little bit early to bring this up in the morning, but we're going to do it anyways. For any of your audience or people that like vodka, if you like vodka, and if I did a secret survey asking you, what's the best vodka? I just sent it to people's phones. Like maybe it was a room of 100 people, or all your listeners on this podcast. I guarantee you 85 or 90% of the respondents would say Grey Goose is the best vodka in the world. Grey Goose is not the best vodka in the world, though. Anyone who knows vodka knows that Grey Goose is actually kind of shitty vodka. Grey Goose ranks maybe fourth. You got Belvedere number one, you got Kettle One number two, in most markets, Tito's is number three, and Grey Goose sits at four. But why is it perceived by 90 or 85% of most respondents as the best? It's because of how well known it is. Mm-hmm. It's packaged beautifully. The marketing is phenomenal. It was a huge part of hip hop and pop culture, right? In the early and mid 2000s, like from 2005 to 2010, it was part of rap videos, half naked people bring it out to you in nightclubs when you order bottles. So what is not to love about Grey Goose? Like, it's the greatest thing in the world. The bottle, and those bottles are beautiful, right? They have the fake ice gloss sheen to it. So it's packaging, it's marketing, and it's just being best known. Best known beats best 10 out of 10 times. Now, if you're the best known commodity in your market for whatever you do in business or life, and you also happen to be really freaking good at what you do, you're going to be invincible, right? If you're really good at what you do and you're also highly visible, and think about some of the best brands we know that have endured generations, decades, and they're still tops. It's very good and it's highly visible. Coca-Cola is one of the best to utilize with that, right? I mean, for years, Pepsi has tried to overtake them, and there's nothing. I mean, Pepsi's a huge, it's a huge brand conglomerate, right? Nobody could say that Pepsi is by any means a failure, but if you ask the guys inside of Pepsi and they're like, dude, we'll be chasing Coke forever, You know, they're never going to overtake them, right? Because of what Coke established. Best known, highly visible, you're unbeatable. And so I think for everybody, you may not recognize it, but you have a personal brand. Your personal brand is literally your reputation. And your reputation is the sum of all that you put out into the universe. So you got one, whether you like it or not. You just have to take control of it, right? So whatever your personal brand is, and you can always adjust it, clean it up, you know, finesse it in a different direction. That's the beauty of them. You need to take control of it. You got to document things that you do. You need to talk about what it is you do. You may think that what you do or what you're into, nobody cares about. I promise you, there's an audience for everything out there. I mean, look at half the stuff that all of us scroll and look at, right? Sometimes when you get into that, like that brain rot where you're just mindlessly scrolling, like, what the hell am I looking at? And then you look at something like, this is the most mindless piece of content, and you look and see how many other people have looked at it. So I promise you, there's an audience for everything, but take control of it. It's really important, everybody, regardless of what it is you're doing, because it's now where people find you. It's where people go to learn about you, right? It's almost your review page, quote unquote. It's your Yelp review page for you, your business, your brand itself. So yeah, I think it's something that's so important now in this day and age. It's not too late for people to be doing things or taking control over it or trying to take it to the airwaves, but it's pretty much non-negotiable right now, I feel.
It's really all about your social media marketing now. Like that's the mainstay of everything, because the first thing people do now, they don't try to Google you, they go to your Instagram page. It's the first thing people do. They hop on Instagram or your Facebook, really your Instagram.
I want to see. Yeah. I want to see proof of content.
Following your content, who's doing it, who's involved with you, who you're posting with, you know, who's collabed in all your posts and everything like that. It's the first thing people go to now. People, if I say something to Dual Coast, you know, to somebody, oh, I have a podcast. First thing they are is on Instagram. They're checking out the Instagram. First thing, and that's just kind of how it goes. Like, you know, somebody mentioned, like Russ tells me, oh, we got Arjun coming on. First thing I do, I go on Instagram too. It's the nature
of everyone's business card. Look, I haven't carried a business card in about 6 years. I've stopped ordering them, and I go to events or someone's like, you got a card? I'm like, no, I'm on Instagram, you know, like tap phones or exchange contact that way. And it's your digital business card. Everything I do is out of there, you know, that inbox. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of connection there. There's great relationships and friendships. Russ and I have a thread going back and forth. Dan, I'm going to have one with you here after this show. Like, it's become one of the single greatest connectors, and it's made the world so much smaller in so many ways, right? And it's a great gift, and people just need to really recognize it and utilize it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, my baseball coach in college, I went to Cal Poly Pomona, and John Scalinas at the time was the winningest baseball coach in baseball history in collegiate sport. And one of the things that he said was the 5 most important words in life is surround yourself with good people. And he said, if you want to be a loser, hang out with losers. If you want to be successful, hang out with those who are successful. And I would love for you to comment on that, because you know, going back to in our earlier conversation, you know, talked about tweaking your team. You didn't take away, you added, but you had successful people around you. And I know that in your business right now, you have successful people that you have built your company around. So when you surround yourself with people, what does that do for us in life?
It's everything, right? I mean, like people tell you, just to add on to your story there, Russ, you know, you're the sum of the 5 people that you hang out with. You show me your friends, I'll show you your future. I mean, it's the absolute truth. And that's something that, you know, you'll notice if you get around enough successful people and you talk to them or interview them or whatever, you'll kind of notice there's a common denominator amongst all of them. There's a common thread. And I would say one of those threads is, without a doubt, it's the company they keep. They are very fast and highly efficient at cutting off negative people or influences in their life very quickly. And the ones that don't, you know, they tend to get held back a little bit by it, and you know, sadly, sometimes it ends up even being their anchor that just kind of sinks them, because they kept that person or this group in their life for just too long. Yeah. But really successful people, they cut people off. They, like, if you aren't part of their vision, you aren't going in a similar direction, they don't want anything to do with you, you know. And it's a pretty abrupt cutoff as well. But I'm noticing that more and more around high functioning people and highly successful people that I'm around. So yeah, your people and who you're around is absolutely everything, you know, and this is something super important that anybody, it doesn't matter who you are, where you're at in your life, you can change a lot of outcomes. You can change a lot of environments by simply switching up the people. You might be in a terrible circumstance, and I feel for you if you are, but your fastest way out of that circumstance is to get around better people. So do what you can. It's not a state of permanence. You can let it be a state of permanence if you just continue to do the same things and hang around the same people. But if you get around some better people, as hard as that may be, just do it. Just try your best and do it. You'll start to see some change. You'll start to feel some, you know, layers of skin kind of shedding, and you'll start to see yourself differently and see different opportunity, open up your eyes to other things. And before you know it, your life will start to change. So people are everything. People are the greatest hack to anything. Sometimes we feel like, oh, I've got to get this new tool, that shiny new object. And we're in a world right now where everything is being advertised to you to sell you a solution to a problem that you didn't even know you had. You know, that's why we're subscribed to so many things. That do is just you think, shit, I didn't even have that problem, but I've been paying for this thing for 8 months. You know, and trust me, I'm one of those people. I've signed up for a few things. Like, yeah, I need this. And like, did I really? But you know, at the end of the day, like if you use people around you, people are your greatest hack to everything. You can hack your way to all kinds of levels of success, getting into different rooms by utilizing people. That's the greatest gift that all of us have, and or all of us have access to. So put yourself around better people, use people around you, leverage them, and you'll see like the world of opportunities start to get pretty big.
Yeah. Who in your life right now is elevating you?
You know, it's a lot of people. Jared, I would say, is absolutely one of them. Russ, one of our good mutual friends. You know how you and I met. Jared's, I think, one of these incredible people that's not of this earth. I tell him that sometimes. I don't think he's of this earth. He was sent here to do something pretty special and pretty big. And I'm really grateful that I crossed paths with him through Craig also. You know, it was a Craig event in New York. That's how we met. And Craig's a great guy. You know, I wish I got to spend more time with him and was around him to get to talk to him more regularly, but Craig's an incredible person. But Jared is without a doubt one of those people. My dad's always been that guy also in my life. His health is not so good now, so I'm trying to value the time I do get with him. And even though our conversations are not as substantive, but the memories are still there. And he taught me really so much about people. I watched him as this magnetic, kind of charismatic guy that would always make people feel seen. And it's something that had a profound effect on me from when I was a young age. I saw him in his work environments with other university administrators and other vice presidents. I'd see that he always put out his hand and shook people's hands and looked them in the eye and said hello to them. He gave people hugs. There was a story of a lady who was a janitor in his building, and we as kids would spend a lot of time in his office. You know, you go to work with dad sometimes, you get dropped off there because mom's doing something, and then he would bring us home. So we got to know his staff, but there was a lady, she was a very sweet lady, much older than everyone else. And she was kind of the janitor. She tidied up all the offices in this long, old, historic building there on campus. And my dad was always nice to her, and she knew all three of us as kids. But as I got older, and even when I was going to school there at the university, I'd come back and see him sometimes on a break. I'd pop into his office and say hi as a, 18, 19, 20-year-old. So I was still going there. So she watched me grow up, and I saw her all the way up until the point that she retired and then, sadly, eventually passed away. But she pulled me aside one day and she says, "Your dad is my favorite guy here because he's the only one who treats me like a real human being." She's the janitor, but she was the sweetest old lady, but everyone else was so dismissive of her. And I never lost the feeling of that, what that comment or that statement was that she made. Human beings want to be seen. They want to be heard. They want to be acknowledged. It's really, really important. So my dad, taught me that, and I've gone out of my way. He'd always, it would drive my mom nuts when they were still married, because we'd sit down at a restaurant and he'd ask the waiter, when the waiter got to the table, my dad would say, "How are you?" He'd always ask the waiter, "How are you?" And the waiter would stop for a second, thinking like, "No one's asked me that today." They'd almost get stumped. There'd be this awkward silence. And then they would say, "Well, I'm great. Thanks. Thanks for asking. It's been kind of busy." And then you'd see their whole complexion and body language change.
Yes.
And now this was going to be a much better experience because he acknowledged this guy, not as a guy who's just bringing us our food, but as another human being, and he engaged with them in conversation and back and forth. And it ended up being a better experience. So there's great power in that. But I learned that from my dad. And I've never lost it. So it drives my wife nuts now, because every restaurant, like, let's just get the order. Come on, we're in a rush. Even baristas. I'm at a Starbucks and I'll stop and they'll say, can I take your order? It's chaotic. In San Francisco, there's like noise, all the machines are going off. Just imagine a noisy coffee shop. And then I always lean in and ask the waitress or the cashier, how are you? And they're always like, they're always stunned. And the reason they're stunned is because nobody stops to ask people questions anymore. Nobody stops to ask people how they're doing, or check in with them, or give them a hug, or just put their hand on and say, you good? Nobody does, because everyone's just moving, right? Yeah. But the moment you do, everything changes. So that's something I learned from my dad. Kai's definitely been somebody I keep around me. There's a lot of other mentors, even my CEO. There's people in my business and in my actual world that I keep really, really close to me. And look, I'm doing what I'm telling you guys, and telling your audience to do too. I'm constantly taking stock of some people that are in my life that maybe probably shouldn't be there, and it's not that I wish them any ill will. I just can't do that anymore. I need to move forward. I'm going in a different direction. I wish them well. I hope they turn certain things around, but I don't want any part of that, right? I can't have any of the stuff affecting me. So I'm taking stock of that stuff, but those are a few people, Russell, that have meant a lot in my life and continue to mean a lot.
That's awesome. Appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, man. Great question.
Yeah, so true. So something I want to touch on. You are the creator of the LFG Society. Tell us about that. Tell us about that community. Tell us about what that means.
Yeah, no, thanks, Dan. I love talking about it. So, I'll tell you guys just a quick background on where LFG Energy came from. And, it's, we'd always say it as, when I'm coaching the athletes on the team over these last 10 years, and we're not special. Like Tom Brady says, everyone says, let's effing go, And so people would say it and we'd use it as a way to kind of fire up. And then I thought, you know what, I'd call one day, just kind of came out, it's that LFG energy, and that's the kind of energy, just something you harness and use. So I thought, okay, so one of the athletes on our team is actually the captain of our men's team. Russell, you might have met him. He was at my event in February. His name's Matt Lepley. Great guy.
I did meet him.
Matt's a great guy. Great story that he has as well behind him. But he was our captain of our team, and he's a very good graphics designer. So I told him when we were going to Amsterdam in 2022 for the World Championships, hey, come up with some logo. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I have no idea what it means yet, but just come up with some logos. So while we were there getting acclimated, getting there a few days early and training and beating the jet lag, I was having coffee one morning, kind of off to the side and doing some notes for the team. And he says, hey, man, I finished up those mock-ups. You want to look at them? I'm like, sure. Let's take a break here, take our minds off Taekwondo for a minute. He showed me the logos. They were awesome. We picked one, and that's the LFG Energy logo that you see, and you see everywhere. So it kind of started off as this like nothing, but then it quickly became something by pure accident because I was on the phone with Ryan Serhant's team. Ryan Serhant, the big real estate broker. I had booked him to come do an event in San Francisco. He was coming out to do this event. Deposits paid, website's been up, tickets are being sold. I'm bringing in this big celebrity into San Francisco to do a big event. And then his team calls me and says, oh, we just realized the contract's kind of null and void because you're a mortgage professional and Ryan has an exclusivity deal with Chase, the biggest bank in the world. So he can't do anything affiliated with or that is branded publicly with any other financial entity. And I said, well, guys, it's not my fault. Like, you guys should have, didn't you know that about me? Didn't you know that about me when you took my money and whatever? And they're like, no, we're sorry. We can give you a refund. I said, I don't want the refund, man. Like, I've sold tickets. I basically told everyone at school, there's a circus in my backyard after school today. And if I don't have a circus, I'm going to look like a jerk. Right. So people are coming to this event. Like, what do we do? And so they're like, well, do you have any other entity? And I was like, oh man, my S Corp it says capital in it. I can't use my corporate office because I work in mortgage. It says All Western Mortgage. That's not going to work. And then I just they're like, well, God, we're really sorry, man. We'll give you a full deposit. We're not going to keep any dollar of yours. And I'm thinking, no, man. And I just glanced down at my desk and I see that LFG Energy logo. I go, actually, I do have another entity. It's called LFG Energy Presents. And they're like, oh, what's that stand for? And I go, it stands for Let's Effing Go. And it's an event hosting platform. I literally made it up in the moment. And they're like, and they were on the Zoom and they looked at each other. One guy looked at me, I'm good to go, man. We'll send you the contract. And I said, all right. So So, I said, shit. All right, here we go. So LFG Energy was born that way. And they said, that's pretty cool. You know, what a cool concept. You should have told us that before. Has it been around a while? Has it done some pretty big things? And I'm thinking to myself, oh yeah, it's done some big things. It's going to. So we quickly made it into what it is now, which is LFG Energy Presents, which is an event hosting platform. The following year, I wanted to start an online community for entrepreneurs and other human beings that was focused on the mind and the heart. You know, and this is where Russell and I really connect and align, because everybody's got a mastermind that's focused on business, do more, hustle more, market more, you know, like everything more, which is great. And I'm part of a lot of those groups and they're helpful. But in all these groups, the missing denominator in all of it is the mind and the heart. Nobody's talking about the mind and the heart. Nobody's talking about like people's mental health, their own well-being, doing things with purpose, doing what I talked about, those lessons that my dad taught me, right? Like acknowledging people. Everyone's just trying to make more and hustle more. And that's fine, but the person's getting lost. So I thought, you know what? If we have a community that's focused on that, this can be complementary to everything that's out there in terms of the business world. It can be industry agnostic. It can appeal to anyone. We'll meet once a month. We'll bring in and create community, just conversations like this that I'm having, you know, that I'm joining with you guys here this morning, and help people just get better and level up in life. And then eventually it turned into the event, the Better Human Project now, which is something that's open to the public, although a lot of our members come to it and we use it as a way to, you know, get a lot more people in our community. And that's what it's kind of evolved into. So the society is just a community of individuals and dynamic human beings that are all committed to lifting up one another and being better. And it's been a lot of fun putting this thing together and letting it grow. And we're going to be doing a lot more special stuff with it here in the, you know, in the near term. But that's how it started, Dan. And, you know, LFG Energy as a concept, but then the society and the podcast started below it. But it was kind of like all great stories. It was an accident. It was shit luck, but it came together. And now the ball's in my hand, so I got to run with it. You know, I got to keep running.
That's a great story. Honestly.
That was a great story.
A great story.
Oh my,
that's funny, man. Ryan's
so good.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's have him go.
I gotta thank him and his team for helping create that. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, before we close this thing out, we've got one last statement, and I wanted to throw it at you and see what your response is to this. Is that wellness is not about perfection, but it's about progress. And for you personally, Arjun, what does that statement mean to you?
Just get a little bit better every day. Like, I think it ties back into even the statement I issued you, Russell, when you were in the crowd at my event. To be a better human is not a instant thing that happens. It's a journey. It's a process to move towards, right? And wellness ties in with that, because wellness is a part of humanity. Wellness is a part of betterment. And it's something that you do every day, just a little bit, even if it's a step towards, small step towards. You may fall off, because in wellness, we fall off, right? You have a bad weekend with your diet, or just life gets in the way, or there's so much stress and kind of, you know, unwelcome negativity, whatever there is. You can fall off the path, but it's all right. That's part of what being a human being is. But you get back on, and then you continue inching forward, right? Even if you fall off, even if you fall backwards, just get back up and continue moving forward. If you do that process, that journey, you'll land at being a better person, no matter how short or long your life is. As long as you are doing that, then you are a better human. That is what wellness is. It's progression, it's advancement, it's moving towards something, not standing still. So that's my definition of it, because I feel like it ties in, you know, exactly with what being a better human is. And I hope that you know, is something that's useful to the audience.
Absolutely. This has been an incredible time this morning, Arjun. Just getting to know you a little bit more, for you sharing your heart, past experiences, right now in the current life in which you live, and what you're doing, and the impact that you're making in life. And that's really what it's about. Leaving this world a better place than it was before. And the people that you come in contact with, I know that you're doing that. You're making an impact in their life, and you're leaving them better, and especially challenging people to advance their life. And so I want to say thank you for being a part of Dual Coast this morning, and sharing some great principles with Dan and I, and all the listeners that were listening today, but also the ones that are going to be listening in the near future. So my hat's off to you, man. Thank you so much. Love you a bunch.
Love you too, Russ. I appreciate you, brother Dan. It's great meeting you. This work you guys are doing, and bringing this platform, to the masses is important work, because you guys are all about the right things. I think there's a lot of alignment here, as we discovered here very quickly on this call today. So I look forward to staying in touch and being a huge fan and supporter of you guys, and can't thank you enough for bringing me on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Arjun. This has been an amazing podcast. It's the fastest 50 minutes we've done in all. We got deep. We talk fundamentals. We talk sports. We talk. Business. We touched on it all.
Let's go.
Love it. I love it.
Yeah, you could put that on your Instagram. The fastest 50.
Arjun, where can people find you?
Instagram, like I told you, I have no business card. Just follow me at Arjun Mortgage, ARJUN Mortgage, all together. You'll see it. That's the easiest way. Send me a DM. It's me that answers. It's not a staffer or anyone else or a bot. Send me a note. Let me know. And I love to connect and help people in any way I can and serve. So I look forward to staying in touch.
That's awesome. Well, go lift some kettlebells, man.
I will.
Awesome podcast today.
Thank you so much, buddy.
Thank you so much for joining us today. This has been an amazing time. Guys, please check out Dual Coast Podcast on all those social media handles. Please check out Arjun on Arjun Mortgage on his Instagram page. Hit him up for all your mortgage needs. We'll see everybody next week. Thank you all so much for listening, and signing off. Thank you again.
Thanks, buddy.